thoughts on working with Cena? What was it like with him? He was the top guy there, the closest equivalent to a Hulk Hogan in the 80s for that company. What was it like working with him creatively? What was it like that night in Chicago? And thoughts on Cena moving on from WWE when he's been such a big part of their identity the last 15 years?
And you're going to get another Michael Hayes impression. I hope you all enjoy the Michael Hayes impression. I wish John was here so he could answer that question. But I always liked working with John because, again, it was easy. And I think John was in a position where he was almost kind of glad somebody else came in and forcibly took the reins. I remember the first time I worked John in 2009. And, in wrestling, the bad guy normally calls the match. It's just kind of traditionally how it went. And I remember locking up with John, and he was doing an appearance, so we couldn't talk about the match, and I hated talking about matches anyway. It's like John Cena, you know what he does? He does the 5 things, and that's it. So if you can't figure that out, you're in trouble. And I remember Mike Chiodo was the referee, and I remember locking up with John and grabbing a headlock and taking him over, and I'm happy just to sit there a minute and kind of get the lay of the land. And he started going, tackle, drop down, hip toss, and he starts calling all this shit, and I was just like. And I remember just looking over at Chiodo, and I go, Mike, who the fuck's calling this match? And he's laughing so hard, he was trying to hide his face, and John just went, oh, okay. And I think John was stoked that he didn't have to be that guy directing traffic. And he let me do whatever the fuck I wanted. So I think he was relieved. But I also think that's how we worked together really well, Because you talk about, I never like to take credit for shit. Because at the end, it doesn't matter. But I was the first guy to be like, why does everybody always take those shoulder? What the fuck's going to happen? Why do you let him do this to you without fucking kicking him in the head? So, it was really I broke down the John Cena comeback, in a logical way, and he was just kind of this is great. How come nobody's ever done this before, And, just working with him was always great. Like I said, because he wasn't worried about his spot, and I think everybody else, up until that point, was worried about their spot. I don't think when I wrestled JBL, I don't think he gave a shit about his spot. So that made it a little bit better. But there's always guys who were worried about their spot, and then that they don't like you, and politically they're against you. So wrestling them was always pulling teeth. It wasn't like that with John at all.